Welcome back to The Rundown. A security case that has created huge controversy for the Israel prison system has reignited this week with shocking new revelations. Now, the initial scandal was exposed last year with allegations that an intelligence officer assigned to the Gilboa prison in northern Israel assigned certain female prison guards to a wing of the prison housing Palestinian security prisoners. This at the request of one of the inmates, convicted terrorist Mohammed Attallah. And furthermore, they tolerated his sexual harassment of the women in return for getting his cooperation. Now a new source, an anonymous female guard, has come forward with claims that she was actually raped by Attallah at Gilboa while commanders turned a blind eye to the incident. Here's Prime Minister Yair Lapid discussing the affair at today's cabinet meeting.
It cannot be that a soldier is raped by a terrorist during her service. Yesterday, I spoke at length on the matter with the Public Security Minister and the Israeli Prison Service Commissioner, Katy Perry. I was presented with the steps that have been taken to ensure that such incident never happens again. The incident, which is under review, which took place during the term of the previous government, is under a gag order, but it must be and will be investigated. We will make certain that the soldier receives assistance. We will deal with the accused to the fullest extent of the law, and we will ensure that such an incident does not reoccur.
Well, joining us in the studio for more is diplomatic correspondent Mary McAuliffe. Mary, I said the story broke last year, allegations of sexual harassment by this terrorist prisoner of these female guards. Which now the revelation is an actual rape occurring. What are the details that we know here?
Right, Calev. So this is definitely the most serious of the allegations that have come out. And actually the first time we heard about allegations of misconduct in this way at Gilboa prison was in 2018, which is when the first report was first published. It was then placed on a gag order, so there hasn't been much said. But during these revelations about it was the same prison where these high security prisoners escaped last year. And during the testimony testifying before Knesset about the failures at the prison, it was referenced again to the scandal, which was called the pimping of the female guards to the soldiers. This latest case we really only know about because she herself posted a crowdfunding campaign online under a pseudonym Hila, but also calling for resources, saying that due to this incident that happened, she's alleging she was sexually abused multiple times, repeatedly over the course of a certain amount of period. Her commanders knew about it. Her commanders sent her to this specific wing at the request of this terror prisoner who was in this prison, and said that since then she's been unable to find a job, suffering from emotional and mental distress, and so that she needed help financially. Because of this, the gag order was temporarily lifted, also due to an appeal by another Israeli newspaper, but we have heard rumors of this coming out. She's actually the sixth victim to come forward and say incidences along this nature, sexual harassment claims that the people in charge of this prisoner were sending the female guards in to either appease some of these terror convicts who are held in this Gilboa prison. And some of the highest security prisoners are kept here, some of the most dangerous ones. The one in this complaint, Attallah, Mohammed Attallah, is the one that was known. She says he was known as the commander in this prisoner, who ordered around some of the prison officers, and because they wanted to appease him, because they either wanted information or intelligence, that they used these female guards basically as pawns.
Right. Let's talk about that gag order, because this is different from, as you said, it broke a couple of years ago, but then quickly squashed. It was an actual commander of the prison who was interrogated about that breakout, then broke it himself and revealed it. Now it seems like this woman wants to go public with her story, and she's being prevented.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the most disturbing facts in this case is the gag order that was placed on it. This is an issue that is of importance to all Israeli citizens. This woman was a conscript in the army. Israel, of course, has mandatory military service. She was completing her mandatory service for the state when these allegations occurred that she was used as a sex slave by this Palestinian Fatah prisoner who was accused of killing a woman in 2003 in Ramallah. That these incidents go on, but nobody's allowed to talk about it. The media is not allowed to talk about it. I've talked to a number of journalists who have had similar stories, who have done interviews with this woman, but weren't allowed to publish it due to the military. So we've heard a number of politicians from across the board, the left, the right, calling to even remove the gag order. Even Public Minister Omer Bar-Lev saying today he doesn't understand why it was put into place. But
I should note the previous government under which this occurred did not allow for an official commission of inquiry, but it sounds like something more serious is going to move forward now with this.
It might and it might not. So Bar-Lev even speaking today, so the public security minister said that they're not going to be a public commission of inquiry because it's already in the middle of a legal battle. So that it first has to go through the legal steps of this court, which is being underdone in this Rishon LeZion, which is the one who put the gag order in place. But even he himself says he doesn't understand why the gag order is in place. And we've heard from left and right politicians, political aside, to remove the gag order, that we need to be able to hear the testimonies from some of the women who were the most affected, and that without doing this, no justice will be dealt, because this could still be happening in Israeli prisoners. It's important to know also the intelligence officer who she accused was not fired, was not removed from his position. He is still serving as a commander in the prison service, just at a different prison.